Welcome to Bciu 103. We're going to go over TweetDeck, lists, and more. All right, so at this point, everybody should have downloaded TweetDeck, or if you're on a PC, be accessing it online. Is there anybody that has not downloaded TweetDeck yet? Jerry? Thomas? Cliff? Either make sure you do it today, get with me if you're having problems. We'll make sure we get it all downloaded. So the first thing you want to do once you get that downloaded or you've gone to the website is log in, and you always want to make sure you have it open when you are working. So if you've downloaded it, you can see this is what TweetDeck kind of looks like. These different columns you can set up to be what you want. I forget which screenshot this is. Actually, I think this is just the feed of what I'm following. This is the feed of what the Durango Herald is following. These are folks that have mentioned the Durango Herald, and it can go on and on for quite a while. So we're going to go up how to set up columns. We're going to talk about the different types of columns you can have, and then Amy's going to drill in on lists because she is very, very good at setting up lists on Twitter. So to add a column, oh, and we're a little behind there on the thing. So this is what your TweetDeck looks like. So to add any sort of column, you come down here. And if you're going to add, so let's say you're logged in as yourself and you want to add the Durango Herald account, you just click this little people person, two people guys here. Click add, and you can add another Twitter account right here. Mark and I had a weird problem where we couldn't figure out why the heck that wasn't showing up. We didn't scroll down far enough. So, silly things happen sometimes when you're not paying attention. So then if you want to create a column, and you can create a column under any of these topics, you go over here to this plus sign right here on the left. And then you can create home, which is your feed, so all of the folks that you follow. Notifications are things that you want to set up notifications for. At mentions, as we talked about last time, is when there's an at mention for something. So you can do this for at Durango Herald. You can do an at mention for yourself. You can do an at mention for, let's say you want to do Colorado 911 or another account that you think is really important. Anne might do at 9R because she wants to know folks that are tweeting at 9R, what 9R is saying, et cetera, et cetera. So people that you really need to be dialed in on would be worth creating a column for. Likes, lists are what we're going to drill in here in a minute, but this is where you would come to set them up. And like I said, Amy's going to drill in that. Search, you could set up a search for certain words like Animas River. You can set up a column of just your followers or followers of other accounts. You can set up a column for direct messages. You can set up a column for different users. And you can set up different trending things and different collections. So you can really drill in. The ones that we're going to really focus on are the at mentions and the lists. So to create a list, you click on lists, and then you click plus to create a list. These are some of the different lists that I have or the Durango Herald has. And then you just go through and you would type in either the name or who you want to add to this list. So if you want to add all of the Durango Herald staffs, you can do that. You don't need to create that list because we can share lists as well. So you don't need to go in and create an entire list for Durango Herald staff because we already have that. John shared with me the folks that he follows locally. I think he's pretty much the only one in the room that's using lists pretty regularly. So if you want to, follow local sports, let me know and I'll send you his list, or let him know and he'll send you that list so that you can follow local sports without creating a whole new from scratch list of your own. So you just literally type in who you want to follow there and create a list. The other thing that you can do in TweetDeck that's really nice, and those of you on the copy desk that have started using TweetDeck for the Herald at night are very aware of this. You can schedule tweets out, and so you just type the tweet. Make sure, so here I'm selected as Claudia Laws, so you want to make sure and uncheck Claudia and select the Herald if I'm tweeting as the Herald. Use the URL shorteners like bit.ly like we went over last time to make it look cleaner. And then you click schedule tweet right here. Add your image if you have a photo, ideally. Oh, I didn't put another screen grab there, sorry. So once you put schedule tweet, it'll come up with a clock and a date, and you can just go through and pick the time and date that you want to schedule it for. That way not all of your tweets go up, at 9 o'clock tonight. So save lists, like I said, we can share lists between us. That helps save a lot of time. Amy's going to go over some tips and tricks. And these are some of the lists that we have already set up. Durango Herald staff, and actually I think that's full staff. I have one that's the Cortez Journal staff. Amy had set up emergency contacts, which is like road conditions. Who else is in there? Sheriff's office, police department. That's a good feed to have on your tweet deck so that you can see if there's something major going on. And then, yeah. So one thing I want you to remember, if you're setting up lists of your own, one, make sure you share them if you have them. Make sure somebody else doesn't already have one set up. They can take quite a bit of time to set up at first, but once you've got them set up, and I'm guessing you've seen this, it makes things incredibly easier to follow. Instead of, if you follow 1,000 people on Twitter, that's just constant information coming in, right? But if you follow 1,000 people on Twitter and you have Colorado Emergency, Durango Sports, Durango Herald reporters, and you can scroll through those lists one at a time, it helps parse that content in a much more usable format. And with that, are you ready, Miss Amy?
I am.
All right. Let me make you the presenter.
So this is going to be an example of my anal retentiveness. So I don't want any comments at all, or I'll sneeze on you or lick your keyboard. I have 21 lists. You can see here that I follow 747 people, so that's quite a bit of people to follow, and 600 followers, and a lot of those are for news. It's not like Katy Perry and stuff. But here's my list on Twitter. You can see, and I keep my lists private because I don't want somebody going to my account and seeing what my lists look like and who's on them. I could probably get rid of all these. My family those are duplicative. But anyway, so you can see those are my lists. And when I start following somebody on Twitter, for the most part, I put them in some sort of list immediately, and that's easy to do. I can show you, but so that's where I set up my lists on Twitter, and so then I will go to my tweet deck, and here you can see that I have these set up according to what I want to be able to see throughout the day. Some of these lists are lists of like time wasters when I go home at night and I want to follow somebody's tweet about something that's not work related. Yes, my Real Housewives following. I'm joking, maybe. Anyway, so this is TweetDeck that I have open all day, and you can see this is my first column. Here is my home. Those are the people I'm following. That's my main account, and then Herald people, of course, and this includes everybody on staff and everybody on the Cortez Journal staff and DGO. And so this, of course, is my very first column because this is what I'm watching most to see what we're tweeting. When I need to retweet, as you can see, I still have some old Herald people in there. But this is probably the most important because this is letting me keep up to speed on our staff and what we're putting out there. Then, of course, over here I have local, and this is where I'm seeing a lot of news from people who are local. BLM, you see there, the Humane Society, which basically is just always adopting dogs out or cats. Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. So these are local businesses and people that were interested in knowing news about Durango 9R. Steamworks, Durango Local is classified ads. So that's a really good list because that's where so many stories are coming from. And if anybody is interested in knowing about Facebook, I do this exact same thing for Facebook. When I go to Facebook, I create, I'll show you in a minute, just while we're talking about listing. So those are the most important ones are right there are the Herald people and local. Then public safety also, that's CDOT, that's police, the city of Durango. This is where you can get emergency information when roads are closed. and I've also on certain people I follow for public safety have but turned on so that I get a notification on my cell phone. It doesn't even ding, it just comes in and says, you know, CSP or Durango Police or something tweeted. That way I know, that's what I monitor in the morning when I'm not at work yet to see what news is out there.
Interject for one moment on the where you guys go to replay Bciu University if you missed one, the Learning Center. There's a very, very nice how-to on how to set up those alerts on your phone.
Yeah.
If you want to set them up, or if you don't know where the Bciu University thing is, just let me know and I'll send you that how-to, because I didn't know how to set those up, and Josh had written that up, and it's very simple, like step-by-step walkthrough.
And it's very helpful. I have everybody who's on my Herald list, I have their notifications are sent to my phone. So.
Do you turn it off late at night?
Well, they don't ding or anything like that.
Were you guys
And
tweeting when I was gurgling in my own blood?
We were not tweeting your,
You weren't live tweeting it?
no, we did not live tweet.
Lesson learned, we will do that next time.
Yeah, and I just depending on how your phone is set up, I'm trying not to touch your phone. I only have it so that on my home screen, when that tweet comes up, I have it set up so that only 5 notifications show up there. So it's not like I get up in the morning and I have 75 tweets that I have to scroll through. But I do pay a lot of attention to that in the morning because that's where the news is happening in the morning, and especially road closures, accidents, so on and so forth. So public safety, Anna's River, I set this one up. This is a hashtag, so anytime anybody uses Anna's River with the hashtag, I set this one up during the Gold King mine spill, so you can see people were talking about our package last week that we did. So these are all the tweets that we were getting about, or that not we were getting, but people were using hashtag Colorado. This is basically news sites around Colorado. 9 News, Denver Post, Pueblo, Colorado Springs, Coloradoan, all these Colorado-related news media, so I know what's going on. Journalism, industry articles, whatever you might have. There's Iowa, because I was following a particular something there. Management for being a better manager. I don't know why I have color twice. You tell me. Then I have, because I also am signed into the Durango Herald. I have here the Durango Herald's home feed. So these are the people Durango Herald is following, and so it shows up here because there are still a lot of accounts that the Durango Herald site or the Durango Herald account follows that I don't. So that's so I have some of that. SPJ Colorado is because I'm the president-elect of SPJ Colorado, so I'm an admin on that. And then scheduled here is these are all those tweets that are scheduled for the Herald. So I can go in here and say I'm helping David with social media or on the weekend or something. I go in here for any of the accounts that I'm on. This is where I can see what tweets are scheduled and for what time. So you can see we've got one scheduled at 4:45, and here's some SPJ scheduled. There's my family.
Is that the one I told the Donald Trump joke?
No, you told it on Facebook.
Oh, okay,
Family.
Twitter handle, Trump jokes.
Notifications here. This is when I notified when somebody follows me. Also, the next one, notifications when somebody mentions the Durango Herald. Messages, these are private messages that people send to me on my personal account, and then messages from the Herald. Here are my personal mentions with my name. I don't know why this is duplicating. I think something's wrong here. Anyway, so this is, of course, customized for me and what I need to do, because I use Twitter for work. I'm not I'm not putting my personal life out on Twitter. It's just something I use for work. And when I tweet, it's 9 times out of 10, it's one of our stories or something related on there. Because that's how I'm presenting myself on social media as the senior editor. So that's how I I do that, it's opposite on Facebook, actually. So, so this is how, it's just really helpful. And when I want to check in, every hour or so, I'll come through here, I'll go through. I have this on my secondary screen, and while I'm working on Saxatech on my big screen, and I just have this up, and so that I can see when tweets are coming in. And I will say that probably 80% of the time that I hear story ideas or news that I pass on to the city desk comes from social media. What I see on Facebook or what I see on Twitter. A lot of that comes from that because people are using it so much to put news out there more and more. I'm happy to show somebody at any time how to set these up and who are on my lists. I'm going to show you Facebook really quickly, how lists are there. I use Facebook for news mostly. I don't have that many friends. I mean, that sounds bad. I don't have any friends, and so
I was gonna say, I'll be your friend. I'll send you a request.
Okay, so if I go to this local sources, what I did was create a list, and those sites that I follow on Facebook that I've liked, I put in this list. So I go through this at least once or twice a day, and this shows me news that then I don't have to go through my feed. I don't have to, my main feed, I don't have to go through all my friends or all the tons of news sources I follow. I come to this local list, and here it's us, it's during the Chamber of Commerce, School District 9R. So I list Facebook and list that out in the same way that I do use TweetDeck to be able to put this information that I want for my job in one concentrated area, so that I still can follow other media or people, whoever I want, on social media without that getting lost in. Plus, if you know Facebook at all, and they use algorithms to what's going to show up in your main feed on Facebook, and you never know. You're not going to see every single thing anybody posts. But here, if I put this on this list, I will see that. So that is, that's, yeah, any questions?
So I will say, if you're not familiar with lists, this is an awful lot of information all at once. I think even if you have a slight knowledge of lists like me, it's kind of a lot of information all at once. I think Amy and probably Julie, that'd be accurate to say, are the list experts here. So I'm more than willing to help you guys, but if you want to start drilling in on lists, those two are really good at using them, to get content, to get information, and to really connect with our community. So, I'm more than willing to help you set stuff up. The two of them, I'm sure, are as well. But if you're not familiar with lists, it's a lot of information at once. But if you start delving into Twitter, it is a great way to control what you see, when you see it, how you see it.
Right, and I suggest that at least, yeah, bacon fried Twinkies. Say I wanted to follow Earthworks, I can go in here, I can follow, and then I will go in to their site, or their account. This is doing it on this side, and you just click that gear right there, and add or remove from lists. And I think I have an I have an environment list in here. I just select that, and now that will show up over in TweetDeck or whenever I go to list. And it's a lot because I follow some 700 plus people. Like at night, if I'm just want to just be at home, there are certain lists I have that I'll just go on Twitter, and instead of scrolling through so much, I'll just look at lists. There are a lot of authors I follow, so I'll just put those on one list, and then at night when I'm trying to unwind, I'll just go to that list. It's rare for me to use my to just go to the my home feed on Twitter to see what's going on, because there's just too much. It's information overload. But if I can control when I see it, when I want to see it, that's a lot better. And same for Facebook.
And you
going
can do this
through.
mobile too, on this
Uh-huh.
TweetDeck too?
TweetDeck you can't do, TweetDeck is not for mobile phones. TweetDeck is only desktop. On your mobile phone, if you wanted to really use it beyond Twitter, I would suggest use Hootsuite.
Okay.
Yeah, and those of you who are tweeting from Claudia just showed you how you tweet for more than one account. Here I go to new tweet and I can select, which accounts I want to tweet to. On your cell phone, say I want to, I have Twitter and I want to tweet on the Herald's account. It's pretty simple. Unfortunately, you don't have the ability to check both there. But I just come here, that's me, but if I come to that little people person, I just switch to the Durango Herald, and now I'm gonna tweet as the Durango Herald. It's quite simple. You just have to sign in on a different account.
So how do you create a list on here? Is it just a simple step?
On here, no, you have to create your list first on twitter.com.
You can create them there as well.
Can you? I always do it in,
Just click plus and then go to list.
and then if I go to lists, here, then I can create list, give it a name, make it public, and then I can start adding people to that list. And on TweetDeck, you can move these columns around. You just grab that thing right there, and you can move it if you want to move the order. Internet's really bad.
So how
You
much
can-
management time do you take? I mean, is there initially a big chunk and then after that it's a lot easier?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on how much engaged you are in Twitter outside of work. I would recommend or actually require you to at the very least, create a list with Herald people.
And I've shared that with most of you that are on the copy
Yeah,
pass.
yeah.
So-
And also a list of local and or public safety, you could do that together,
That I've
because
also shared.
that's where you want, that's the information you want. Beyond that is up to you about how much information you want.